the misunderstandings that had happened between Gia and Jin. After the housewarming party, both of them discuss all those misunderstandings the next morning. They clear them. While they were discussing these things, Gia gets a video call from her mother. As she picks up the phone, her mother on the other end of the video call asks Gia, "How are you, my daughter?" Seeing her parents together, she asks, "Why you both are together? Where are you, and what are you celebrating?" Then Jin comes from behind and seeing him, Gia's mother says, "How are you, my son-in-law? It feels good to see you both together like this." Jin nodded, saying he was okay, and then asked her if she was okay. Ignoring Jin, Gia asks her mother again why they both are together and what is the reason for the video call. Her mom replies, "Your dad and me are on a movie date. The next part of this Spaghetti Man movie series is coming out today, and we're going to watch it before you." Hearing this, Gia becomes quiet and goes into deep thought. Because Spaghetti Man is a cult superhero movie, she again reconfirms with her mom that do they come to watch Spaghetti Man movie. As soon as she gets confirmation from her mother, she immediately disconnects the call. And then she immediately turns to Jin and tells him to get ready, we are leaving. He asks in surprise, "Where are we going?" While getting ready, she explains everything to him that there's kind of tradition in their family where if you don't watch something the day it's released, the person who watches it first spoils it for everyone. That's why they have to go to the theater to watch Spaghetti Man before her mother. She didn't want to take any risks with blockbuster series like Spaghetti Man, where the competition was even more fierce. So in other words, in her family, if you don't see the movie as soon as it's released, you're doomed. While on the other hand, Gia's mother was excited to give her spoilers about the film. After telling all this to Jin, and with dreams in her eyes to watch the Spaghetti Man movie before her mother spoils it, she rushes to the movie hall with Jin as soon as possible. With a large caramel popcorn coated in butter and a cold drink in her hand, she excitedly settles into a seat at the movie theater. As Jin comes and sits next to her, she complains that it sucks that they got seats in the corner, but she'll still manage somehow. Jin doesn't say a word but just stares at her silently. While eating popcorn, she asked him, "What's with that face, Jin? Have you never seen a spaghetti movie before? If you didn't want to come, you should have told me beforehand." He replies, "It's nothing like that." He also liked this movie series. He was just wondering that since they came to watch the movie together, is this their first date? He further says, "I heard you talking to your parents that they are going on a movie date, so I also thought that maybe this is our first date too." She doesn't respond to him, interrupting him. In between, she shouts at the people sitting behind her to calm down. The movie is about to start. After this, both of them calm down, and on the other hand, Gia starts thinking, why did he say so? And amidst all this, the movie begins. They start staring at the screen attentively. While watching the movie, Gia praises it and says that this movie is really incredible. After some time while watching the movie, Gia extends her hand to pick up the popcorn. On the other hand, Jin also extends his hand to pick up the popcorn. In the meantime, the hands of both of them touch each other, and as soon as their hands touch, they look at each other. Handling the situation, both of them remove their hands and Jin starts looking in the other direction. While watching the climax of the movie, she hides her face with her hands and says that she can't bear all this, and then after some time the movie ends. As the movie ends, she starts crying loudly. Wiping her tears, she says, "It was so freaking good. How could they end it like that?" Thinking all this and wiping her tears, she looks at Jin to know how he liked the movie. Because when we go to watch a movie with someone, it is our utmost responsibility to ask him or her how he or she liked the movie. While fulfilling this responsibility, she asks him about the movie. Jin Minshul, who has been following this Spaghetti Man series for the past 20 years, raises his hand and says that after watching it, "I don't regret anything in my life," and starts crying with tears. Gia feels very happy to see his reaction because when we suggest a movie to someone and he enjoys watching that movie, then we also feel proud and happy. After the movie ends, they walk out of the theater. Gia tells Jin what a good movie it was while going down the accelerator. Gia, as usual, is bothered by her short-tempered speech and keeps on saying, "Didn't I tell you that you would be happy to see this?" She further says, "Did you see the scene when Spaghetti Man cried, and seeing him cry, the entire audience in the theater started crying?" Saying all this, Gia suddenly realizes that she came to watch the movie to avoid spoilers, and watching a movie on the weekend and talking about the movie like this really feels like they are on a date. Jin, who is walking ahead of Gia, takes out his phone after looking at it. He says, "Let's see when its next part is coming." On the other hand, Gia keeps thinking that this is really the first time they have come out like this after the honeymoon. Meanwhile, the shoulder of the person walking with Gia collides with her shoulder, and she loses her balance. She slips from the stairs and starts falling down. She screams loudly as she falls. Hearing her voice, Jin turns back and sees Gia coming towards him. All this happens so quickly that no one can do anything. Both of them come face to face with each other. Everyone present there is watching all this. Gia jumps on Jin to save herself from falling. Jin completely stumbles but somehow saves himself and her from falling. During all this commotion, their faces come very close to each other and their lips touch each other's lips, and thus their first kiss takes place. The people present there start staring at both of them and whispering about them. Gia's face turns completely red with shame. Even in this situation, Gia starts thinking that her first kiss with Jin, which happened by chance, tasted slightly like caramel. Seeing both of them in this situation, a child who had come there with his mother says, "Mommy, look! Those two are doing a piggyback ride all backward." His mother hides his eyes with her hand and says, "Don't look at them. They're dirty." Upon hearing this, both of them move away from each other. After all this, Jin gets so nervous that he becomes unable to think of anything due to nervousness, and he keeps holding Gia in his hands and starts panting due to nervousness. Gia softly tells him, "You can put me down," and hearing this, he does the same. After coming down, she stands there like a statue for a few moments and then suddenly runs away from there. After going a little further, she turns back and says, "Whatever happened just now is canceled." Jin stares at her in surprise and she adds, "Don't you know about the 3-second rule?" Jin still remains silent as if he doesn't know anything, and then she starts to explain in detail that if you cancel something within 3 seconds, it doesn't count. Like you can eat food that's fallen on the floor if you pick it up in 3 seconds. And after saying this, she dashes away from there while Jin keeps calling her name, but she doesn't listen and runs away. Thanks for watching and comment the best part of this video.